Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I am your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Maybe it's even yours. And if it's not, what am I doing wrong here? Come on. It's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, you guys. That music you were listening to is performed by Alberto Perez. And Alberto is the owner of the La Palapa group of restaurants here in Puerto Vallarta. La Palapa and the El Dorado restaurant are on the south side of town. And if you play your cards right, you can catch Alberto Perez singing and playing the samba to Puerto Vallarta, just like I did the other night, while enjoying dinner under the stars with my toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It was so romantic, you guys. It was so Puerto Vallarta. I just love Puerto Vallarta, folks. Just a nice view of the Los Muertos Pier right there. Ah, gorgeous. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about buying property in Puerto Vallarta. But first, let's see what's happening on the ground this week in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, March 20th, 2017. First, an update on the airport ATM machines. Remember that the Puerto Vallarta airport is in the throes of renovation, folks. And those bank-affiliated ATM machines that are usually located in the lobby of the airport, where you buy your travel voucher for your taxi or your van when you're heading to your hotel after you've landed at the airport, well, right now, those have not been reinstalled and they are not put online yet, so you know what that means. It means that you need to buy some pesos at home and bring them with you, or you're going to need to exchange the bare minimum at the airport until you can get to a bank-attached and a bank-affiliated ATM machine in town once you've settled into your room and you're ready to get out into the swing of things. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to listen to my podcast, Episode 2, Packing Tips, Money Exchange Tips, and Airport Arrival Tips, and then Episode 3, What to Expect when you arrive at the Puerto Vallarta Airport. You can listen to the podcasts or read my show notes. Either way, you can find all of that at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And speaking of the website, check out my webcam page. I watched a brilliant Puerto Vallarta sunset last night from my iPad while sitting around in Los Angeles. Really. And you can too. You just need to go to puertovallartatravelshow.com, click on top of the page there. There is the Puerto Vallarta webcam tab right there at the top of the page. Check out all of those cool webcams that I have listed there. I also have a link on the same page where you can check the time of the sunset in Puerto Vallarta. Now scroll down to the Langostinos picture, click it, give it time to upload, and then you will be rewarded by a beautiful, breathtaking Puerto Vallarta sunset, right from the comfort of your very own Barca Lounger. Okay? Really cool. So check it out. Get your Puerto Vallarta sunset tonight. Now, just a quick word about safety in Puerto Vallarta. We've talked a little bit about keeping safe here in Paradise, and this week the United States State Department issued a warning to Americans to avoid Easter break in some cities in Mexico due to the dangers of maybe being in the crossfire of some Mexican drug violence or whatever. Now here's the thing. I have never felt unsafe in Puerto Vallarta. Never. Now that being said, stuff happens. In any city on this planet, you can encounter dangerous people. These are people who wake up in the morning looking for trouble. They're opportunists. Some of them are drug addicts. Some of them are just bad people. But you can encounter these types anywhere, all over the world. Now, don't let me get you all paranoid and stuff. Luckily, these bad people are few and far between, but they are out there. And if you're planning on coming down for spring break or just coming down anytime pretty much to have a good time here in Puerto Vallarta, here's a couple of important tips that's going to keep you safe. Number 1, keep your valuable jewelry at home. No fancy watches, no gold chains. Leave your diamond rings at home, girls and boys. Buy a plain polished silver wedding band or something. Put it in place of that Rock of Gibraltar that your sweetie bestowed on you on that memorable day way back when, remember? Now, if you don't have a plain band, just come down to Mexico and buy one on the beach from one of the jewelry salesmen. It'll cost you less than $20, so leave your jewels and your gold at home. 2, don't leave your cell phone laying around on the bar or on a table. Thieves have been known to snatch or even to place an item on top of the phone while trying to sell you something and then lift it up as they leave. Remember, your cell phone is a computer. It's your lifeline. It's your camera. It's your map. It's your everything. So keep your eye on it, boys and girls. And remember, talking about maps, you don't need your phone if you download all of those great maps from JR's website at vallartainfo.com. Download them and keep them at your side. That way, if you do lose your phone, at least you got something. Number 3, never leave your drink unattended. Be in control of your beverage, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about you ladies especially, but men too. Look, if you get up to dance, for example, if you're at a club, bring your drink with you. If you go to the head, finish it or take it with you to the bathroom, okay? If you can't keep an eye on your beverage, and it doesn't have to be alcoholic either, you're putting yourself in some danger. There's people out there, bad, douchey people out there who basically will drop a date rape drug in your drink, okay? So plain and simple, and it happens all over the world. I mean, let's just be smart. Watch your bevies. Watch your beverages, adult beverages or otherwise, okay? And if at all possible, avoid using credit cards to pay for meals, bar tabs, okay, just about everything, with the exception of your hotel charges. And in that case, the resort or the hotel might have your number on file at the desk. It doesn't get into the hands of the servers or anybody else. Don't hand your card to a server or anything like that, folks. Just listen to my other podcasts that I talked about earlier. Try to pay in pesos if you can. Now, I talked earlier about, paying in pesos. So even though I tell you to carry pesos with you, let's talk about that. Keep the amount low, okay? Just bring just slightly more money than you think you're going to need for that night or for that day. And no more if you can possibly avoid it, okay? And then don't walk around intoxicated at night or during the day, folks, but especially at night. You're going to be a target for a bad element and maybe even for the cops. And speaking of cops, there is occasionally a bad element thrown in that mix, so try to stay off the streets late at night. Don't be withdrawing pesos from the ATM machine at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's very suspicious behavior, boys and girls. You're going to be a target, okay? Take cabs from the club to your hotel. Just saying. It's cheap. It'll cost you just $1 or $2 or $3, maybe $5, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's cheap enough, right? Okay, enough of this scary stuff. As I said earlier, I have never, ever felt unsafe here in Puerto Vallarta, and I suspect that if you follow these tips, you're going to feel exactly the same way. Okay, now, on with the show. In the first episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show, I forewarned each and every one of you guys that my real job is that of a real estate agent. Now, that being said, I have an interest in how property is bought and sold all over the world because I, like so many others who have visited paradise, have often wondered where I would live if I lived in Puerto Vallarta. I went in search of agents who were like me and my wife, who is also an agent, people who were dedicated to the craft and to their clients. I was looking for agents who go that extra mile for their clients, agents that aren't only interested in the commission, but in the best results for the sellers and for the buyers of homes. So I went out and I found 4 agents. All of these had different styles and different personalities, but all of them were dedicated to getting the best for their client and understanding what their needs are and delivering each and every time. Now, you're going to be listening to Rhonda Zarate of Find Your Happy Home Realtors, and she's a real estate broker. She works with her husband, Licencia Felix Zarate, who is an attorney and is a great guy. No lawyer jokes, please. So, let's go right to my apartment in Puerto Vallarta and listen to the interview. We're going to be talking about buying property in Mexico and especially in Puerto Vallarta. Today, we are here in Puerto Vallarta, and this is not a studio, like I said before, so it's not my regular recording area. So you're going to hear things like you would hear in a Mexican town. You're going to hear maybe dogs barking, and you're going to maybe hear a little banda music, and you're going to hear all kinds of crazy stuff, perhaps. Although maybe things will just, you never know. We'll find out. But today, we are here in Puerto Vallarta with Rhonda and Felix Zarate, and Rhonda is a real estate agent and more. And her brokerage is called Find Your Happy Home. And Rhonda is one of those super agents that I was talking about. And Abogado Felix Zarate. And for those of you who, don't speak the Spanish, abogado means lawyer. And Felix is an attorney. And an attorney is someone that you're going to need to have involved in the process here. Now, in Mexico, as in some states in the United States, not in California, of course, but a few other states, you need to have an attorney involved in the buying or selling process of real property. So, Rhonda and Felix, thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely. Okay. As you and my listeners may know, my real job is selling real estate in Southern California. And if a client wants to buy beachfront property in Malibu or Ventura or Marina del Rey, they're going to call me. But I have no idea what it takes to sell a house or a condo or land, for that matter, in Mexico. And that's why I have you two with me here today. But before we get started, why don't you tell our listeners about yourselves? Felix, where are you from?
I am from Tepic, Nayarit. It's a city 100 miles north of Puerto Vallarta. And that's where I went to university. The law school is there in Tepic.
In Tepic. So, you were born very close to Puerto Vallarta.
Yes.
Nice. Rhonda, tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a Canuck from the Great White North. I'm from Alberta, Canada, and I've been in Mexico on and off for 17 years. And I moved from Costa Rica to Mexico, and that was my little journey to here.
Okay, so that was a little circuitous. You went from Alberta to Costa Rica to Puerto Vallarta.
Yes, it's
lots of A's going on there.
Lots of A's. It's called snow and cold, and it drove me south, and the best thing I've ever done.
And when you were living in Canada, I understand that you were a real estate agent.
Yes, I sold real estate in Alberta and British Columbia.
Excellent. And for how many years?
I've been an agent for about 14 years, something like that.
Okay. And, well, then that's my next question might be, what I mean, are there similarities as far as buying and selling property in? I have no idea how to sell property in Canada either, I got to say, but in Canada as with Mexico?
Well, of course, everybody is trying to find a home that fits their family's needs. And in Canada and the United States, more people generally use mortgages and financial institutions to help them make that happen. In Mexico, it's cash-based. So if you want to buy a house or a property in Mexico, you generally need to bring cash, unless you can find a seller who's really motivated and they're willing to finance you. But that is rare, so it's basically a cash business here.
Okay. Yeah. So with that in mind, is it true that a foreigner can't actually buy property here, that they really kind of have to buy it with a lease? I mean, what's that like? How does that work, Felix?
Well, for foreigners, in order to buy property in Mexico, in the restricted zone that we call it, which means 50 kilometers from the shoreline inland, you need to set up a trust, which means the bank will hold the right of ownership on the land, and the buyer will be the beneficiary of the trust.
I see. Okay. So what happens if someone wants to buy property further than 50 kilometers inland?
You don't need a trust. You just buy straight from the seller. You just buy like any other Mexican, similar transaction, no difference.
Got it. All right. So
let me add this.
Oh, yeah, please.
At the border is 100 kilometers inland, where you need to set up a trust at the two borders of Mexico, the Guatemalan, Belize, and United States borders. So it's 100 kilometers inland.
Okay, so 100 kilometers inland from the border, 50 kilometers inland from the ocean.
It is correct.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Now, you got to get out there with your ruler, right, if you're going to be, making a purchase, right? Get out there and make sure that you're within that kilometers area, right? Of course, I guess satellite has helped us out with that a lot. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what are the obstacles that people find when they're buying property here? Are there obstacles that are unusual when they're buying property here in Mexico?
Well, I can really speak for the area of the Puerto Vallarta area and surrounding areas. I think the only obstacle that I can see, as long as you have a good team that's helping you, that includes a good agent and a good lawyer. And I think that you kind of need to know what you want. Some people say, I want to move to Puerto Vallarta. But there's so many different neighborhoods and so many different styles of living. You really need to spend some time in the city and get a feel before you make that big decision, in my opinion.
So you would probably tell a buyer, look, if someone comes like starstruck, comes stumbling into your office and says, I want to buy a place, I will love this place so much. You might say to them, do a little more research. You might say to them, how much time have you spent here? Have you spent time in that neighborhood? I mean, I know that when I sell a piece of property, I tell my clients to creep the neighborhood. Okay, what's creep the neighborhood? It means just spy on it. It means just go over there and, before you get in escrow or while you're in escrow, drive and park, and see what goes on during different times of the day. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what you're talking about, right? You got to know what you're doing and where you're looking. And
well, I like to sit down and have a conversation with them and say, look, do you plan on having a car? Do you plan on walking everywhere? Do you have kids that are going to the school? What school do you think you're going to have your kids going to? Do you want a neighborhood where you can bicycle around? Do you mind street noise? Do you like dead silence? Do you like to be close to the nightlife? Do you want more of a neighborhood feel? Because every different area has a different feel. You can find anything that you want here. Do you want an ocean view? Do you want to be more in the jungle? There's lots of different small town living, big city. It has something for everyone here, so it's pretty easy for us to find the right and perfect place for someone.
Good. And you were right. There are all kinds of neighborhoods and there's all kinds of places here. And, well, that's what makes this a great place. So tell me a little bit about the process. Can you walk me through the steps as far as once someone has found something that they want to buy, and they say, I would like to, I guess, make an offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you write up a contract just like you do like I do in the States and like you do in Canada. You write up a contract, and then what happens next?
Okay, so
Well, once you come here, you buy the property. The first step, obviously, talking to your agent, you put an offer, and you put some deposit down just to show that you are serious as a buyer.
Okay, Felix. Now, we don't bring a big suitcase of money here, right? I mean, what about this deposit you were talking about earlier? What happens with that?
Well, first of all, make sure you have a very competent agent. The agent will advise you to send the deposit through a escrow company. So funds will be held by this escrow company until you remove all the conditions on buying this property, right? If you put a deposit and eventually you send a reminder through an escrow, to never bring a suitcase full of cash to Mexico. Never, ever. Even if your lawyer, realtor advise you to do so, never. Always use an escrow for the safety of both parties.
Okay, and then money it gets wired from your bank. It can get wired from your bank to a Mexican bank. I mean, how does that happen?
The escrow, normally the companies we're dealing with here in Mexico, they have bank accounts in the States and in Canada and in Mexico. So you can transfer your monies to these escrow companies, and anywhere in the world they will transfer the money to the seller when the time comes, under the notary public instructions. When the transaction has been completed, normally days later, that's when the money is transferred to the seller.
So your money is safe until everybody says, okay, ready to go.
It's correct. The notary gives the thumbs up ready to transfer the money.
So the notary is in charge of making sure that when everything is in order, that's the time to do it.
It is correct. Plus the lawyer helping the buyer or seller is in charge for doing the follow-up of the process, making sure everything is okay.
Got it. Good. That's good info.
Right? Once you put the offer in place, now you have some conditions like in Canada or the States. Some conditions that you do not fulfill might break the offer, right? But it's very similar to other countries, like in Mexico, for instance. You don't have the finances in place.
Right.
The offer will be canceled, or any other situation, like the state of repair of the property. If that's not satisfied what your needs, then as another conditions will stop the offer from moving forward.
And another thing too that's really critical and a lot of people don't quite understand is unless they're fluent in Spanish, in our situation, my Spanish isn't to the standard I would expect to do due diligence to my clients.
Got it. I feel the same way too.
To cover them. So that's why in our case, Felix is attached to every contract that I do. He takes that part over because it's all in Spanish, English and Spanish. And so then our clients are confident that what's in English is said in Spanish also. So they're 100% covered. And then he checks out if they have, like he said before, if say, for instance, a maid has a lien against the house, like he checks for everything like that so our clients can be rest assured that it's exactly what they think they're buying.
Got it. Now, that sounds kind of like a title search to me. So you actually do a little bit extra work. You do some more footwork than the title company does, it sounds to me.
It is correct. Once the offer is accepted by both parties, the next step is to go to the notary public to formalize the paperwork, right, and set up a date for the closing as well, right? And normally, if the notary, what they do is pretty much just request records on this property to the city, just to see if there is no current liens in that moment in the city at the city hall.
Right.
That's pretty much this work is limited to get a certificate of no lien encumbrances from the city hall. but they don't go to the courts, to labor courts or civil courts, to see if there is a litigation about this property. They just don't. So that's when I come into place to find out if there is another problem that can cause serious damage to our clients.
Excellent. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Or if the homeowner that's selling it has taken a lien out against it. This is all that we find out before our clients get involved in a bad situation.
Good. All right. So you have contingencies. You were talking about these things, the terms that need to be met at certain times. Mm-hmm. We call them contingencies. Over in the States, we have a contingency for getting a deposit in. We have a contingency for just basically keeping it within the contract. Really, basically, what that all means. So you have all those. It sounds like you have all the same kinds of contingencies. All right. So, do you have any famous clients? I mean, here we are. We're in Puerto Vallarta. Have you ever sold to anybody that is world famous, or would you have to kill me afterwards?
Well, all our clients think that they're famous and important, so we can't kiss and tell.
Oh, that is so good. That's a great answer. I'll write that down for future use. Do the majority of your clients live here full time, or just during the winter months when they can, escape the nasty snow that you left long ago? Do they leave and then rent out their places in the off season, or what do your clients do?
I would say that that's about half and half with our clients. But it's interesting. We're finding that there's a trend that is starting to change. In the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, a lot more people are moving here full time. It's quite interesting. I'm seeing a lot younger people making that decision, where they're saying, you know what, we want to create a life. We're bringing our kids. We want to open up a business. We're creating the world that we've always wanted. And that really ties in back to our whole who we are about being happy. And that's why we keep coming back to that, is people are tired of being in the rat race, and their main priority is that they're happy, and they like Puerto Vallarta because it is a metropolitan city that has everything for everyone. And so there are some people that go back and forth 6 months, and they VRBO it, Airbnb, rent it out, give it to friends. So, but I'd say it's about half and half.
Excellent. All right, you were talking about Happy Place. You have a planner. I do. And you also do some public speaking.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that. I find that I actually love that. Tell me about it.
Well, thank you. My whole thing is that I want to be happy. I want my family to be happy, and I want my friends, my clients. It really is important to me that everyone's happy. And I created this book that's a planner, a workbook, planner, organizer that really captures being happy and reminds you every day that that is your priority and keeps you on task. I also write a column in the Vallarta Tribune, and it's called Find Your Happy. And it's all about things that are going on in my life in the city that reminds people of getting back to what makes them happy. And then the other part of my umbrella is the Happy Brokerage. And I really think that in order to be completely happy, you have to be happy in your home. Your home should be your sanctuary. So it's super big deal that you take the time, make all the right decisions to create a happy environment. So when you walk in the door, it rises up and greets you.
Nice. I knew I liked you.
Well, thank you. I like you too.
Oh, there you go. Hey, watch it. Your husband's sitting over here. Now, do you get involved in the rental side of the equation at all, or do you just leave that for property management companies?
Sometimes we do. We have a team that we work with that we can absolutely accommodate anyone with any rental needs. But I like to give everyone a heads up. If you're thinking of renting this winter, you had better be on it, because people call up, in November and say, yeah, we want to come January and February. and then I have a good giggle, and then say, of next year? No, this year. But you really have to be ahead of the game. Puerto Vallarta is on the map for people to come. More cruise ships are coming in. More planes are coming in. They're opening up the highway from here to Guadalajara. It's a game changer. They built this brand new, big, beautiful mall, and they're building an aquarium here. It's on fire. It's really a good time to get into Puerto Vallarta.
Absolutely. Nice. So, all right. A lot of people move down here. I mean, last time I was here, I kind of took a look around and thought I was in Vancouver. So, but these people that move here, do a majority of them go on to get their Mexican residency and then maybe from there on to Mexican citizenship?
Well, this is really Felix's domain. He's the immigration specialist.
It's about time I got over to you there, Felix.
I'll pass the baton to him.
This is very interesting. For foreigners to come to Mexico, they can come as a tourist. And they can buy $1 million property. No problem. No questions asked from the government, right? But if you want to buy a car in Mexico as a tourist, you cannot. You cannot get registration as a tourist.
Really? Oh, wow.
Doesn't make any sense.
That's a little harsh.
Anyway, so you can buy property in Mexico as a tourist, right? You go,
sure.
As we discussed before, you go to the notary, through your agent, you buy your property, no problem. I always recommend, once you buy some property in Mexico, to become a temporary resident or permanent resident in Mexico.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying this is because when comes the time to sell it, if you don't have your permanent residency or temporary residency, you might be hit with capital gains taxes in Mexico, when you sell your property. And as a tourist, you will pay full taxes. As a permanent residence or temporary, you just might get a break.
Okay. All right. Well, with that in mind, then, what do you need to do to get there?
Yeah. 2 years ago, the immigration law changed here in Mexico. Now, in order to apply for temporary or permanent residency, you have to do it in your country at your nearest Mexican consulate. You make an appointment with them, and you can actually go online and make an appointment at the Mexican consulate website. And you just show up or call them up before, and they will tell you what to bring, what documentation to bring. If you have investment, obviously money talks. You have money, you will qualify for permanent resident, which means you are a permanent resident in Mexico, and you will be treated exactly like any other Mexican, with the exemption that you cannot vote. Other than that, it's exactly the same thing. Access to university, you can work in Mexico, you can open a business in Mexico, or anything.
Yeah, there are laws as far as labor laws and foreigners, working in Mexico. Isn't that true? I mean, they don't like having the work taken away from a local, for example.
Yeah, it's true. You have a corporation as a foreigner. The immigration laws dictates how many foreigners you can hire in proportion to the Mexicans, right? You just cannot have foreigners. You have to bring the Mexicans involved. Let's say 1 to 10, 1 foreigner for 10 Mexicans, something around that.
Okay.
It could vary, depends on the corporation needs.
All right, so if you want to bring on your wife as a partner, you have to hire 10 other people. That's what the deal is, huh? Okay, never mind. Don't answer that question. All right. Well, I have a question for you. Let's say that someone comes here and they fall in love with the place, they buy it. I mean, do you have people that actually come here and maybe they experience maybe one summer and decide to turn around and go home, or are most people happy when they're here, or they're happy what they have and don't turn tail and run back because it's a little warm or a little rainy or a little sticky?
We have seasons here, and a lot of people don't understand how beautiful the summer is with our rainstorms. It's actually quite amazing, and watching the lightning. And absolutely, we have humidity in September, October that's kind of tough. But I always say to myself, would you like to be in 40 below weather or a little humidity? So it's really a personal choice. And of course, there's some people that come here and decide it wasn't for them. Maybe they're a little homesick. Maybe they thought they wouldn't miss their family, or they have a health reason they choose to go back. But I think that's like anywhere.
Sure.
But the more and more people that I talk to, and like I said, I know a lot of people here, people just love it here. They really do. It's almost like PV gets in your blood. And some people leave, but they come back because they just can't stay away.
Am I missing something? Did I forget anything here? Is there something in the process that we need to talk about?
You know what? Let me add this. No, we have some clients with issues buying land in Mexico, buying property in Mexico. As a visitor, as a foreigner, you don't know the legalities of the land, and many visitors come here, foreigners come here and end up buying oceanfront properties, but it's ejido land, which is not private property. It's a different regime. Just to be very, very careful what they're buying, or might be buying national land or common land, which is not sellable. So just talk to an attorney and find out what you're buying is legal and it's private property.
Good. So hire an attorney whenever you're buying property. Don't cheap out. Don't do something stupid. Get with it, and you're going to be making a cash purchase of probably many hundreds of thousands of dollars. You better protect yourself.
And it's an easy thing to do. It's just the buyer has to do their due diligence and make sure the attorney they hire they feel comfortable with, maybe get some references, and same thing with the agent, and do some footwork. Like you said, check out the neighborhood. Go in the morning, go at night, see what kind of people are walking around, see if it feels like lots of traffic, lots of buses or roosters. Mm-hmm. Or if you want to be in more of an area like the marina where there's the yachts and neighborhoods and biking, and just really depends on you. But as anyone, we have to take responsibility for our own happy hearts and work as a team.
Good.
Some other thing I want to add is like once you become a permanent resident, you might qualify for a mortgage with a Mexican bank. Once you become only a permanent resident, you have to do your research on it, and you may be qualify for that.
Okay, so that is that's good to know. All right, so
the interest rates probably won't be that attractive to you.
I've been told, they're like what, 10, 12%, maybe more.
Could be more.
Could be more.
Okay, yeah. So that compared to that, we're sitting at 4% today over in the States. Of course, that could change any minute now. Yeah. But as we know,
we won't go there.
No, let's not go there. All right. Well, this is all just fantastic information. I can't thank you both enough for coming and talking to me and giving all this great information to all of my listeners. So, besides clients emailing me for your info, please let my listeners know how to contact you.
You can find both of us. We can find Felix at
www.felixzaratelawyer.com.
And you can find me at, I don't know if you're supposed to say www. Our sons tell me
say it.
I do, but they always get mad at me. Like they're like, you don't have to say that,
Well,
so
half the world depends on it. The other half doesn't like it.
www.Rhonda, RHONDA, Zarate, ZARATE.com. You can find me there.
Well, that's excellent. Listen, you two, thank you again for coming in.
Thank you for inviting us.
It's been fun.
Sure has. Well, now you guys understand why I wanted you to meet these two people. And if you'd like me to introduce you to them personally, that is, if you're looking to buy a home in Puerto Vallarta, email me and I'll hook you up. And if you just want to make an appointment with them, just go to my show notes for this episode at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com, and I'll have her contact information for you right there. Let Rhonda know that you found her on the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show, and she's going to set you up with all of your real estate needs. She'll set you up on a home search, custom designed for you, and you'll be that much closer to moving to paradise. And isn't that what we all really want? Paradise? Well, we are all through for today. I hope you enjoyed our talk with Rhonda and Felix Zarate. And next week, I want you to stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta. And on my next show, we're going to talk with JR as well. Until then, remember, this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you definitely must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve a tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value for value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you do anyway, right? You're just doing it through JR as saying, thank you. Thanks for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else, so just do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences, and maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or maybe what you didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes if you would. That way, we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So, thanks to Rhonda and Felix Zarate. Check out their photos and their contact information on my show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Solo camino eterno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta.